Bianca. I am a high performance and leadership coach, and I focus on helping high achieving women that are really trying to hit these one or two major goals that they've had for over a decade. Achieve them in 6 months or less is usually my focus. But also within trying to achieve these goals in 6 months or less, you need to holistically shift a lot of things in your reality, right? Because your subconscious is so used to things being a certain way. And if your subconscious is used to things being a certain way, it's going to take a lot of effort to tell your brain that it's safe to do what it is that you're wanting to do. So today, I want to talk about the basis of the subconscious, but also I would like to talk about decision fatigue and correlated with that. So what is the subconscious mind? The subconscious mind is really the part of the brain that is running 95% of our realities. And so whenever you wake up and you have your whole morning routine and your flow, and you notice by the end of the day, you feel like I've gotten maybe a certain percentage done, but I haven't really 10x my life, or I haven't really pushed through whatever it is that I was meant to push through. There's a cap that keeps happening, and you think that the goal or the so you think that you think the thing that you're striving for is to just add things, momentum and energy into your reality, and then you will get said result at the end. But that's not actually how it works, because if you just exert energy towards something, you might not be able to sustain it. Most likely you won't after a certain amount of time. You have a threshold, and then once you reach that threshold, you don't have the capacity or capability to keep pushing through. So usually when all these people are saying to hustle, what you're doing is you're hustling, but you're hustling from a place of depletion, no strategy, overwhelm, not taking care of your body, all that stuff, right? You're not hustling from a place of, oh, I know my body, I know my systems, I know my rhythm, so I can push through more, right? And so what I want to offer you today with let's go back to the subconscious mind. So how does the subconscious affect what we're doing, how we're doing the things that we're doing, and then how does it also come into play with decision fatigue? So with decision fatigue, with the subconscious, like I said, it rules 95% of our reality. And so with it ruling 95% of our reality and us listening to it that much of our day, and we are submitting to the subconscious, right? We're submitting to our old habits and patterns that we've grown up with. We're submitting to the safety of what we've known and who we've known within ourselves. That is the cost that we're paying. We're paying for what we've known versus who we are potentially wanting to be, our future selves, the higher self, the person that God has called us to be. We are trading that off. Because we're trading that off, it's like you're fighting a battle with your past self, or you're fighting a battle with your biological and primal self that keeps saying, hey, if we change anything that's different from what we've been doing, we're going to die, or we're not safe. That's what keeps happening to your nervous system. And so migrating to the concept of decision fatigue. What is decision fatigue? It's really just you being at the cap of the decisions that you make throughout the day. So you might wake up in the morning and then you have to start thinking and making decisions, doing all these things in reality, right? And so by making all these decisions and throughout the day, you start to get depleted. And so you get to the point where your body just starts to be like, I don't have the capacity to make any more decisions, which takes away from your performance with whatever your goals and dreams are. And so because your brain and your body, they are not necessarily for your dream unless you program them to be for your dream and your calling. But they're not innately like, yay, go ahead and get those goals that you had these goals for 10, 20, 30 years. Like, go ahead and do it. Your brain is not your cheerleader, it's actually your enemy. If you just leave it to its own like devices and you let it do its thing. But if you start focusing on like understanding how to reprogram your thoughts, how to shift your subconscious, how to really focus on like your reticular activating system, which is the part of your brain that allows you to focus on what it is that you want, and then it starts showing you the things that you want more, then that shift will allow you to start heading in the direction of your dreams. The other issue that I feel like we have as high achievers and high performers or people that have these dreams, we can tend to go all in on whatever we're doing, whether it's positive or negative. So because of that, you have to consistently tell yourself like, this is what I'm wanting, or this is who I am, or this is what I'm striving for. This is what God is calling me to do, right? Because if you're not focused on it, you're going to keep going back to the default because the default has like kept you alive. It has kept you in a space of knowingness and understanding. But the shift is when the brain also does not like uncertainty. So because it doesn't like uncertainty, anytime you do anything that's different towards your goal, right? Towards the thing that you want, towards this these one or two goals that you have literally been like, I have looked at all the research, I have studied all these people, I know who I am, I understand what I'm meant to bring to the table, I understand you've mapped out everything. You've done all the theory, you've mapped out all of the things. But the practice is where your nervous system is like, no, we can fantasize about this. We can think about it. We can theorize about our dreams and our goals. We can vicariously live through other people experiencing and living out our goals and our dreams, right? But if we're doing it, it's a threat physically. It's a threat to the nervous system. And so you have to like know that that's what if you're really trying to go into the ring of like performing highly in your craft and mastering what it is that you're meant to do and leading in the calling that you're meant to have, and being the top performer, not just leading in your calling. You could lead in your calling by just talking about what it is that you want to talk about, in the concept of like your brain is like, oh, if you just post about this, that's enough. But if you're trying to be like a top performer and also like be a leader in whatever you're doing, like you have to consistently tell your brain like, you cannot be in the driver's seat if you're not helping me get towards my goal, because it's going to keep trying to distract you. Like, we focus so much on the enemies outside of ourselves, not realizing that there's one within us that is like loud and knows all of our angles and moves and all of our the things that we do to self-sabotage and all the things that we do to not allow ourselves to strive for what it is that we want. So if it just the awareness of that in itself is big, because once you're aware of that, you can like start going towards that goal, right? And going towards those outcomes that you're wanting in your reality. But if you're not even aware of the fact that like 95% of what is happening in your physical reality is based on things that you've already like felt comfortable with, and you literally have to shift into a different version of who you are. Like, that's not an easy thing for your brain to be okay with, especially as you start getting older. Certain things start getting like more cemented and it feels more comfortable. For me, there was a very strong, very legit moment that I like gave up. And looking back recently, I think about last year, where I was like, I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not doing any of this anymore. I'm tired. I'm fatigued. Like, I now completely understand why people like give up on their dreams. I understand why people don't consistently keep going. I understand why they choose to do other things. And I was there. It wasn't like I was thinking about being there. It wasn't like I was processing about potentially getting to this place that all these people have been in reality. It's like I was there. I gave up. Like, I was like, I'm already walking the other way. I'm already like doing other things that are not this. So coming from somebody who already gave up, and I would say I feel like I'm a pretty resilient person. I'm a pretty high pain tolerance threshold type of human. But this was like, this isn't going to happen for me. And, I sat with that. I lived in it. I did all the things for a few months. And then something shifted to where I was just, now that I reflect on it, I don't even know exactly what shifted, but something shifted that made me be like, just try one more time. Just, I know you've already given up. I know you're already like pivoted. I know you're already doing other things, but just try one more time. Uh, Honestly, I feel like God was like, try one more time. Like, do the fast, do the whole thing, pray, like, try one more time because this isn't just about you. Um, but regardless of all that, the subconscious mind is powerful. Your physical biology is powerful. Okay, because we are nature beings. That means you need to get out in the sun. You need to eat certain foods, whole foods, get a certain amount of exercise, sleep for a certain amount of time. Like, there's basic things that I feel like in our day-to-day lives we're not doing as a society. And so because we're not doing it, all of these other things are like just making life like a little crazy. But it's like if you do the natural rhythms, and then if you really hone in on your muscle memory, like knowing that your muscle memory is like one of your best friends in the concept of focusing on your higher your higher self or the higher version of you or what it is that you're wanting, right? Because yeah, muscle memory is also a little bit nerve wracking because your body stores energy, it stores memories of negative experiences and all that stuff, right? But if we learn how to consistently like stack our habits and also have the muscle memory be a positive for our reality, which means like creating new systems and routines that will just happen because you're going to have bad days. That's the other thing. We think as high achievers and high performers, we might not have bad days if everything is planned. As perfectionists, we think if we plan this, nothing is going to like shift that. And like that's not true ever. So you have to prepare, kind of like preparing for the worst case scenario, but not like calling in the worst case scenario, but just like being like, what is my capacity at? If something happens, like what do I think is one of the things that can happen for this situation? And how can I prepare for just anything happening so that I don't have that many curveballs? And if I do have another curveball that I haven't prepared for, like my muscle memory will just kick in to like my systems that ground me and my habits so that I can perform higher under pressure of whatever pressure that is, right? Because a lot of athletes, it's like they're performing high under pressure of like just like winning a game. But life is like there's so much pressure that be happening from left field that we have to get to a point where we're like, okay, I understand there's a lot of pressure and I know how to handle it. I understand my level of emotional intelligence, right? Um, yeah, so a lot of the things that we talk about on here are leadership development, emotional intelligence, and high performance, right? And so with going back to decision fatigue as well, with decision fatigue, it's really all about like prioritizing the things that you are wanting to do and doing those priorities like in a deep work state. So having pockets of deep work, right? That could be like an hour and a half to 4 hours of time that you're focusing on something. So you do deep work and then you're doing like life, everyday stuff. And then you have like another deep work session and then you have like life stuff. And then you have another deep work session. Some of the things that we run into is that we think that we need to have like 50 deep work sessions. And it's like, why do I need so many deep work sessions in my reality? Like in one day. Like I do need to recover and rest. Um, it's not just about deep work. You know what I mean? It's about resting and having that balance of resting so that you can work harder and strive harder and do whatever you want. So yeah, but a practical thing for decision fatigue: learn how to prioritize, because the decisions that you make, if everything seems important and everything seems urgent and everything seems like it all needs to get done at the same time, you're going to try and do everything at the same time. And then if you're going to try to do everything at the same time, that just makes life more complicated because that's not even going to happen. So if you just prioritize on like, I need to get this thing done so that it's erased, and then I need to get this thing done so that it's erased, then I need to get this thing done so that it's erased, then you can actually start like taking away from decision fatigue. And then also learning how to say no to certain things. We live in a very distracted world where our brains need dopamine all the time, where our brains have been accustomed to very short form content consistently. We've been accustomed to things happening super fast. And because that's not how real life works, like even if you look in nature, like it's very slow, laxed, and chill for the most part. And then there's like, intensity and stuff like that. But for the most part, everything's working in a certain system, in a certain flow, at a certain speed. So if it's not like all this fast paced stuff is not supernatural, or not supernatural, all this fast paced stuff is not natural. So because it's not natural, if you don't balance like how you're doing it and what you're doing with it, you're thinking that that's reality, and your brain is only seeing what is reality. Your brain is not seeing like anything else that you're not showing it, except physically for the body because it stores energy and stuff like that. So yeah, I guess physically. But I'm saying like your actual brain, like it doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's imagined. So it's picking up on everything. And so because it doesn't know what's real and what's imagined, you have to genuinely work on saying no to anything and everything that is potentially trying to distract you from these one or two goals that you have. Right? You got to get like crystal clear with what they are. You have to like hold them in your hands and hold them in your heart and tell yourself, this is my goal for now. Like, this is what I want to do for now. And then as things are coming at you left and right, you're like grounded and centered in what it is that you're wanting. And then eventually you will be able to reach that goal, but also feeling the energy of who that is, embodying that version of yourself, embodying the person that is doing this thing, and acting like that person is the thing that will get you to the goal as well. Because if you're not acting like that person, the output is not going to be happening with ease. It's not going to be happening naturally. And most of the time, the person that you're striving to be is doing those things naturally. Like there's not that much level of resistance because they might not want to do everything, but like their muscle memory is like, this is just what we do. We wake up at this time, we do this, we film this, we talk about this, we create this thing. So you also have to be gentle with your current self and not shame your current self and not allow your current self to be like make you give up on your future self because you're expecting your current self to be the future self. But it's like you not even no, that's not how it works. You got to just be that other person, like be the person that does the other things that you want. So, all right, I think that's all I got for today. I know this was a pretty long video, but I hope you guys are doing well. If you are interested in diving deeper with me, I do have a 6 week high performance intensive where we dive deeper into all of this stuff. Leadership, emotional intelligence, high perform. Well, it's really about focusing on high performance first because if you're not like performing highly in the concept and the awareness of the way that you are meant to perform highly, then leading and achieving and doing all those other things, it's not going to be healthy to your system. So we have to like work on the high performance aspect of it, get you like adjusted to that, acclimated to that, and then transition to like actual leading in your mission, in your calling, or whatever. Um, but with the 6 weeks, it's really about like getting clear on how to start being um, in those one or two goals, right? Like achieving those one or two goals in that amount of time. So, yeah, if you are interested, you can book a sales call with me. The link is in the bio, and I will talk to you soon.